Good morning, viewers. Today is Monday, the 19th of January 2026. It's a fantastic day. And yes, I've got to put this channel a little bit more on the roll on the updates since I'm not doing the updates on the Rumble channel anymore. I have been on a fasting for the second time now, and that is a sardine fasting. I can highly recommend that. If you've never heard of that before, I don't blame you. I have been on this journey for a long time, but it's only on about 3 months ago I came across the concept of sardine fasting. I don't want to get into all the details of that. I'll be sharing that on my other channel in a day or two. But long story short is that I've done a lot of fasting and intermittent fasting, and we all know that that is very good, especially if you are diagnosed with a problem or a challenge like cancer, for instance, because when you are in autophagy, then the body will cannibalize on all the things that are foreign in the body that it can utilize for energy. So the more ketosis, the better it is. But to me, being hungry is just not something I'm built to be. I just go absolutely nuts. I cannot do that. So I have tried a few times, and I have twice in my life completed a 7-day water fast. But I was young. I had a different kind of mindset. We're talking 30, 40 years ago. But the sardine fasting turns out to be much better. Not only is it better compared to a water fast, but it's also easier because you're allowed to eat. And since there is no such thing as a religion when it comes to eating, really, the question is not how much, the question is more what do you want to achieve. Now, the first time I did the sardine fasting, I did 2 cans of sardines in olive oil, and I did that in an intermittent fasting schedule, which says 20 hours without food and 4 hours span where I could eat food. So I got 1 can, waited about 4 hours, and I got the second can, and that was it. And I've not been in ketosis for like 2 months. And when I was in ketosis previously, I was only in light ketosis. I was with the breath meter. I was somewhere between, I think the average in the month was like 10 or 11 or 12. And I did do a few blood tests eventually. And the average was 0.2 or 0.5, which is very light ketosis. So I was not serious into it anything because I needed to figure out how to do it, how to get there, and so on. And water fasting is just something that does get you into ketosis, obviously, but it just happens so slowly. On sardine fasting, you are strapped with a rocket on your back and you just goes there. I mean, that is highly recommended. Now, what I do with mine is I mix it up a little bit with a homemade mayonnaise, which is all fat, which is also very good. Anyway, first time, rocket straight into ketosis. I ended up at a ketosis level of 2.8 on blood meter, 2.1, 2.5, and 2.8 on day 3. Actually, on day 5 or 6, I can't remember, 5, I think on day 5, it was 2.8, then I stopped. It took me a few days before I got into ketosis. This time here, I was in ketosis when I started it out because I came from the other fasting this month. So I've been in ketosis, now we've got the 19th. I've been in ketosis for 16 days. And it's been in deep ketosis all 16 days. Yes, because when I measured the first blood one, it was at 2.1. So that's pretty darn good. Now, this time I decided to do a 4-day sardine fasting. And I did the first 2 days. The first day I took my blood pressure. I don't do blood metering every day because it costs a lot of money. Well, not a lot, but it does cost more money than just breathing in your breath meter that does only need to be recharged. And the breath meter is not particularly precise, but it does give you an indication of whether it's moving up or down and to what approximate level you are in. So just to verify you that the fasting, then I do the blood meter during fasting to see how it progresses. And the first day I was at 2.5. The second day I was at 3.4. And today I was at 4.1. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now the problem is, well, it is a kind of a problem. For the last 4 or 5 months, my heart rate variability has dropped out of the sky, and now it's kind of consolidated very low. We're down at about 42. And you want to have your heart rate variability up high because that is the body's ability to repair itself. It's a sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. But if you've got to choose between being in deep ketosis or having a good heart rate variability, I suppose that the deep ketosis is more important because, as I've mentioned, if you're in deep ketosis, the body is now in autophagy, and at that point it gathers everything it can to produce energy. And that means also cancer debris, cancer cells and whatnot, in addition to the fact that you obviously are starving cancers. So I will now, when I know what I can do to bring it in ketosis that effectively and that fast and that easy, I might add, I'm planning on keeping it on above a 3.0 until I've got to get my next PSA, which is in about 2 weeks' time, which is brilliant. It's 11 days. I really, really like that. Now, what's really interesting is also, and that's what makes me very encouraged, not only am I able to get into deep ketosis while I'm eating, and it kind of propels me into that because of using sardines in olive oil, and that's key. If you're not eating anything and water, then the body just shifts gear and basically just go dormant for a while until it acknowledges that there will not be any food provided, so it has to figure out a way to do that itself. Then it gets into the gear of metabolizing things in your body and you get into autophagy. But when you're doing a sardine fasting, you're being fed something, but it's nothing that the body can use unless it gets into the gear of using ketones. So you're maintaining metabolism, but you have no carbs, zero carbs. And that's what propels it into ketosis that fast. But yesterday I did an experiment. I took my keto chocolate, or I have some very good homemade keto chocolate, got the cravings for that, and I got 8 pieces of that, and they are huge chunks. I got 2 peanut butter balls. I make my own peanut butter balls recipe, really delicious, crunchy, gorgeous things to eat. And I got myself some homemade crackers and with salmon and a bit of homemade mayonnaise. So it was totally out of my sardine fasting schedule. But since I made the bagels and I decided I wanted to taste it, and once I tasted it, I wanted a little bit more, and when I wanted a little bit more, I went overboard and ate the whole lot. Then I thought, okay, now I'm going to be pushed out of ketosis because I broke my sardine fasting, and I did it with carbs. And because of that, I went into the chocolate too, and I went into the keto peanut butter balls because I wanted to just to see how much of an impact does it give. Because I was at 3.4 yesterday morning, mind you. So I thought, okay, I can afford to drop down to 2.0 and still maintain my goal of being above 2, which was my goal at that point. So I was curious. No sardines yesterday. Basically broke out of my sardine fasting one day too early. And here this morning, as I said, 4.1 in ketosis. I'm still accelerating into ketosis. Now I'm actually at a level where I've got to be cautious and not entering a 5.0 or above. Because 3.0 to 5 is in the healthy medicinal range, as it is said. That's really where it's efficient and really works well. So that's the level I like to stay in and within until I get my next PSA. Brilliant. I really, really love that. So let's see what's going to happen. I'll keep you updated on it. Really like the results so far. Weight is also dropped. I was starting out the new year with 86.4 kilos. This morning, 81.6. So we are almost 5 kilo down in 19 days. Now, some of it was obviously fluid, but I do track on a Garmin index scale, so I can see the fat percentage and I can see the skeletal muscle mass, which is data that I also put in there. And I am now down to the lowest fat, actual fat kilos that I've ever been. Fat percentage is a little bit of a varying things because I can have a lower weight with a higher percentage and still be lower in kilos of fat than the other way around. But right now I'm sitting at 19.4 kilos of fat, which is still way too much. It's at 23% or so, 23.4%. I've got to get that down to about 15, 18%. That's my objective anyway. Don't want to go too low. We need fat to survive. But it's looking very, very good, very good. Stress levels through the roof. My body is not happy with these transitions into ketosis, that's for sure. But it is what it is. You got to make the changes, and you got to stress the body to get there, and let's see how it stabilizes during time. As always, stay happy and healthy, and take agency for your life.